Every single business has its own personality, right? Some are warm and friendly, others feel really polished and premium. But what happens when a customer actually interacts with your AI? Well, way too often, that unique brand voice just disappears. It gets replaced by something, robotic. So in this explainer, we're going to break down how to make sure your AI actually sounds like your brand. Just imagine for a second, you're calling a high-end financial firm, a place you trust with your biggest investments, and this is how you're greeted. It's pretty jarring, isn't it? This kind of mismatch between a brand and its AI's voice is a huge, huge problem. Probably not, right? And that's really the core issue here. The way an AI agent speaks instantly shapes how customers feel about your company. It has a direct impact on their trust, their perception of your quality, and honestly, whether they even want to do business with you at all. That feeling of disconnect, let's call it the robotic AI problem. And it's a surprisingly common issue. It can completely undermine the entire customer experience you've worked so hard to build. Look, at the end of the day, your voice AI should feel like a natural extension of your company's identity, not some separate generic machine. Whether your brand is playful and fun or super serious and professional, that voice needs to align perfectly. When it doesn't, it just creates this jarring crack in the customer's journey. So why is this such a big deal? Well, the impact on your business is huge, and it goes way beyond just sounding nice. Let's actually break down what's really at stake here. People form emotional impressions in just seconds. The voice they hear immediately influences everything: their trust, their satisfaction, how they perceive the quality of your entire service. It can even make or break conversion rates and long-term brand loyalty. These aren't just little details. We're talking about critical business metrics. Okay, so how do we actually build an AI that sounds like us? The solution is a framework that's built on what we'll call the 6 pillars of personality. This is where we really get into the nitty-gritty of designing a brand-aligned AI. First up is tone. Think of this as the foundational emotional layer. Is your AI supposed to be friendly? Is it more formal and confident? Or is it calm and reassuring? Getting the tone right is absolutely the first and most important step in shaping how that AI feels to your customer. And just look at how a simple change in phrasing creates a completely different experience. Sure thing, let's sort this out. Feels super welcoming and helpful. Perfect for a home services company, right? But then, I'd be happy to assist you with that. Communicates elegance and professionalism. Totally ideal for a luxury brand. Same function, but a completely different feeling. Next up is vocabulary. This is all about the specific words you choose to use and the ones you choose to avoid. Does your brand use simple, direct language, or is it more premium and elegant? The words your AI uses are a direct signal of your brand's quality, its formality, and its core values. Pillar number 3 is speaking style. Now, this is all about the rhythm of the conversation. Does your AI use short, punchy sentences that feel more conversational, or does it use more formal, structured explanations? This affects not just how clear the information is, but how comfortable the customer feels during the whole interaction. The final 3 pillars are where we add that crucial nuance. First, there's pace and energy, which really defines the whole vibe of the call. Then you have courtesy and empathy, which determines how human and supportive the AI feels. And finally, professional boundaries. This one is key. It makes sure the personality is actually appropriate for your industry. I mean, a healthcare AI definitely shouldn't sound like one for a retail startup. All right, so we've covered the what. Let's move on to the how. We're going to look at how this all builds into a practical, step-by-step framework you can actually use in your own business. This 6-step process is your blueprint. It all starts with defining your core traits, then moves to creating guidelines for tone and vocabulary. After you align the speaking style, the really crucial part is testing it across real and often difficult scenarios. Like calls with frustrated or emotional customers. And finally, it's about continuously refining and improving. This is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. Of course, building something great also means knowing what not to do. So let's take a look at the most common pitfalls that can totally undermine your efforts to create a branded AI voice. And trust me, it's surprisingly easy to get this wrong. Even with a good framework, there are these common traps that businesses fall into all the time. Avoiding these is just as important as following the blueprint we just talked about. So what are the big mistakes to avoid? Well, there are the obvious ones, making it sound robotic or just copying a generic template. But you also have to be careful not to give it too much personality for your industry. The two most critical pitfalls, though, are failing to plan for those emotional moments, like an angry customer, and not knowing when to hand off a sensitive issue to a human. Get those wrong, and the whole system can seriously backfire.
Okay, let's bring it all together. When you manage to avoid the pitfalls and you actually follow the framework, what's the payoff? What's the competitive advantage you gain from investing in a truly unique AI personality?
So, what's the real return on investment here? A much, much better customer experience because it feels like they're actually talking to your team. This builds trust, which can lead directly to higher conversions. Your AI stops being just a tool and becomes a memorable part of your brand identity, giving you a real leg up on competitors who are still using those generic, off the shelf voices.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Voice AI is so much more than just automation. It's a direct representation of your brand. When the AI speaks, the customer hears your company. The future is going to belong to those who make that voice feel human, helpful, and unmistakably their own.